everyone. My name is Zhen Lei. I'm here to introduce my presentation, The Magic Power of Creating a Safe Learning Environment. So before I start, I'll give you a short introduction about my placement. Okay. So I was teaching in Michael J. School, middle school, and all my 15 students were coming from 6th and 7th grades. And one is with the 504 plan. So you may be wondering, what is a 504 plan? That's an act that prevents the discrimination in the public school against those students who have learning or emotional issues. So there is a shining point of my school because this is the only school who provide the Mandarin program since kindergarten. So all my students already got some basic knowledge of that language. For the first semester, basically my duty is just the observation, my mentor's class. And I found 3 important things really bother me. The first one, students don't participate in the class, and just my mentor teacher do the solo show. And second, they use English more than Mandarin that they're supposed to do. And I found that even for really easy, simple Chinese Mandarin instruction, some of them cannot understand. And the third is they read books, do homeworks in other subjects, and some of the kids are doing the same thing while I was teaching, which is really annoying. So that's brought up my research question. How should I structure my class activity to increase the class participation and to improve the students' language proficiency level in listening and speaking? After all, that's the most important function of a language. So my research, the whole process was divided into 3 stages because I changed my mind in the middle of the research. The first stage, that was at the beginning of the spring semester. I was totally a new teacher. I don't have a lot of experience, and I got nervous in the classroom. And so what did I do? I just copied all the activities from my mentor teacher, which sadly is not really successful because my mentor teacher had been taught them for 6 or 7 years, but I'm the new one. So they don't participate, or they kind of participate, but not really actively. And so I'm starting looking for different activities, and I read from the teacher's blog. I read their experience. I watched their video demo, and I consulting with my research community. So things looks getting better. All my students kind of participate actively in some of the activities, but they still hate the pair work, conversation practice. What kind of activities they really love? Well, first, because it's early February, still in the Chinese New Year, so we have a Chinese New Year period, and basically we're doing something celebrate the New Year, like we're making the red envelope, and we make the dumplings, and kids love to eat and what they make. And they write some calligraphy, and we have some like the Chinese New Year decoration which made by the kids, and they have the presentation about introducing to explain what the red couplet talking about. That's what they really enjoy, and they love all the competition, like writing competition, presentation competition, and playing competition. Anything as long as competition, they love it. But they really hate pair work, and I found while I walking around, I heard they using English to practice the conversation that wrote in Chinese in Mandarin. So after 1 week, I think that's the time to give myself assessment. So I gave out the first exit ticket survey to my 6th graders. the question is, tell me one thing you learned in my class and tell me one thing you want me to change while I'm teaching. So they're very superficial answers like, yeah, you're doing a good job. So I'm not satisfied. By spending more time with my students, I realized that the key factor that affected their class participation will be something else. So I discussed these issues with my Chinese cohort, with all my other subject cohort, with my professors, mentor teachers, and I found a safe learning environment could make things different. This factor I wasn't really paying attention because it's not really what we emphasized when I was a teacher. When I was a student. So here we're at a stage 2. So I made a small change about my class rule. I allow them to chat in my class because the kids really enjoy chatting with their friends, even in English. But my requirement of chatting, you have to use Mandarin. So the kids who found this really interesting rule, they start to try to use as much Mandarin as possible. That's a good news, right? And also, I give positive feedback immediately to support their class participation, their performance. And students, they show me they're fully present and they're willing to take risk on making mistake by saying more Chinese. And the last one is my favorite. I love to have one-on-one with all my students. I scheduled with each of my students, I schedule several one-on-one meetings with those students who need more help in academic. So the students show their motivation, and they show they have a better relationship with me, a closer relationship. So here I give out the second survey, which is a CAP survey. It's a huge, long survey. There are 45 questions, and I didn't do any modification, and the student gave me a great job, a great answer. So on these questions, my teacher demonstrated that mistakes are a part of learning. In discussing my work, my teacher used a positive tone to support, and in the class, students support each other to be successful. In these 3 questions, I got most over 90% of positive answer, which I'm satisfied. And for the comments part, they give me more comments, not just that your teaching is fine. So I'm so moved by those comments, and I'm so encouraged by the kids. So let's hear some beautiful language that produced from my students.
你叫什么？你的妈妈姓什么？今天日几的明天是星期几？
So this is the oral assessment that I gave them before I left. And I know that you couldn't understand what they are talking about, but you can see the fluency. They can answer the question immediately when the question was addressed. So I'm satisfied. Here, that's my last stage of my research. So right now, I discovered that helping students to find their potential needs a teacher's patience and new ideas. Right now, I'm still looking for different activities such as word hunting game, music chair, being a Chinese student week, and the students really love it. Also, creating a safe learning environment is always my priority in my teaching in the future. Also, the encouragement is the key as a teacher. So that's the activities that I tried, I used during the last period of my teaching, and we have a great time. So, any questions? No? Oh, yes.
I'm wondering what the process was like for you in choosing your research question and refining your question.
Well, it's, at first I have a really huge question, and I found it's really hard to do some data source. So I kind of narrowed down, and you have to choose something like really important for you and easy to collect data. And within a short period, you have to have some results, and you have to see the process. So that's why I choose my research question as this. Am I answering your question? Yes, please.
At that age, kids really like jokes.
Yes.
And I know that jokes don't translate well between one language.
Oh.
And, have you ever considered an activity where you can give them a joke and they can try to make it work in Mandarin?
Yes, normally are positive jokes.
Yes, positive.
Of course, based on their language proficiency, they cannot make really difficult sentences.
Mhm.
So I try to use all the positive words and help them to make a sentences in Mandarin, and then make the joke readable and very useful, and don't assault to anyone. Yep. Thank you for watching. 谢谢。
I know there's so put some presentation.